Greetings of the day. Hope you are having a great time. My name is Ms. Prachivani, and today we will talk about closing service gaps. So, if a company accepts the view that quality needs consistency and meeting or exceeding customer expectations is a must, then the manager's task is to balance customers' expectations and perceptions. This is going to help in closing the gaps. So the gap model, which is also called as five gaps model of service quality, is an important customer satisfaction framework. In a conceptual model of service quality and its implications for future research was published in the year 1985 by the researchers, which identified five major gaps that an organization faces and seeking to meet customers' expectations of the customer experience. The researchers have identified a total of five gaps that can occur at various points during the design and delivery of the service performance. So gaps at point in service or design and delivery can damage the relationships with customers. The service gap is very critical, hence the goal should be improving the service quality by closing the gaps or narrowing the same. Improving service quality requires identifying the cause for each gap and then have a strategy for the same. The strength of gap model is that it offers generic insights and solutions that can be applied to across various countries. Each firm can develop its own approach to ensure that service quality becomes and remains a key objective. Once the approach is customized, then measuring and improving service quality becomes the next goal with the help of soft and hard measures. So we will understand what soft and hard measure means. So as we discussed in the previous video, there is a five service quality gap model which was published in 1985. The revised one has total of seven gaps and that was published in 1994. So now customer needs and expectations and management's definition of these needs. When they are not matching, then the first gap is created that's called as the knowledge gap. The second gap is in between management's definition of the needs and the needs getting translated into design and delivery specifications. That becomes your second gap that's called as the standards gap. The third gap is in between the translation and the execution of design and delivery specification. Now that gap is called as the delivery gap. The fourth gap is in between the translation into design and delivery specifications and advertising and sales promotion. Now, when you have a gap in between these two, that gap is called as the internal communication gap. The fifth gap is in between the execution of design and delivery specifications and customers' perception of the product execution. Now, that gap is called as the perception gap. The additional two gaps are the interpretation gap, which is in between the advertising and sales promotion and customers' interpretation of communication. And the last gap is the service gap, which is in between the customer interpretation of communication and customer experience, which is related to the expectation. So we're going to focus on the first five gaps. So now that we know that these five gaps are very important for customer satisfaction, measuring and improving service quality is very, very essential. It is commonly said what is measured is not managed, but that is what we are supposed to do. Without measurements, managers cannot be sure whether service quality gaps exist, what type of gap are there or where they are, and what kind of action needs to be taken. This is where we talk about soft and hard service quality measures. So, what is soft measure? Now, soft measures are those that cannot be easily observed and must be collected by talking to customers, employees, and other stakeholders. And what is hard measure? These are related to characteristics and activities that can be counted, timed, or measured through the audits. So, soft measures. Now, according to Elberry and A. Parshuraman, companies need to establish ongoing listening system using multiple methods among various customer groups. So ongoing research should be conducted through portfolio of research approaches. Key service quality measures like total market survey, annual survey, transactional survey, service feedback cards, mystery shopping, focus group discussions are recommended. With the above measures, following measures also can be implemented, like ongoing survey of account holders by telephone or mail. Customers advisory panel can actually offer the feedback and advice. Employee survey and panels to determine perception of quality of service delivered to customers on specific dimensions. Barrier to better service and suggestions for improvement can be definitely taken. Now, what is hard measure? Here, in low contact services where customers are not really deeply involved in the service delivery process, many operational measures are taken which are related to the backstage activities. So here the focus has to be on how internal system is working or how the internal operation is working. As discussed, feedback holds a lot of importance. So organizations that are known for excellent service, they make use of soft and hard measures. These organizations are good at listening to customers and employees. It is important to create a formalized feedback program by using a variety of professionally designed and implemented research procedure. Now, let us understand prescription for closing the service gaps. We're going to focus on 5 gaps and how they can be closed. So here the first gap is the knowledge gap. So knowledge gap is the difference in between what service provider believes customers expect and customers' actual needs and expectations. So here what we have to do is we have to learn what customers expect. Okay, so how do we do it? We understand customers' expectations, increase interactions in between managers and customers so they have a lot of communication to understand what customers expect, improve communication from frontline employees to management. So whenever the communication is happening, it also needs to reach to the management for them to take action on it. That's with the first gap. And yes, also very important that whatever information is collected, it needs to be turned into the action. The second gap is the standard gap. Now here, difference between management's perception of customers' expectation and the quality standards established for service delivery. What can be done? Establish the right service quality standards. How can we do this? Establish clear service goals, measure service performance and give feedback. Clarify job tasks which has high impact on quality. So those can be paid attention to. Train managers in skills needed to lead employees. Ensure top management displays ongoing commitment to quality. Ensure employees understand the goal and the priority. Reward managers and employees for attaining the quality goals. Standardize repetitive work tasks to ensure consistency and reliability. Become receptive to new ways of doing business that overcomes barriers to deliver quality services. The third gap is the delivery gap. Now, this is the difference in between specified delivery standards and the service provider's actual performance on these standards. So what do? We ensure that service performance meets the standards. So here, clarify employees' roles, ensure that all employees understand how their job contributes to the customer satisfaction. Match employees to jobs by selecting for the abilities and skills needed to perform each job. Develop innovative recruitment and retention methods. Enhance performance by selecting the right technology and equipments. Teach employees about customers' expectations, perceptions, and problems. And train employees to prioritize their work and time management. The fourth gap is the internal communication gap. Here, the difference in between what companies, advertising, and sales personnel think are the product features and performance and service quality level is, and what company can actually deliver. What do we do? Ensure that communication promises are realistic. How do we do it? Seek inputs from operations when designing a promotion activity. Develop advertising that has employees performing their jobs. And the last one is the perception gap. Here, the difference between what is in fact delivered and what customers perceive they have received. Here, we have to understand that customers are unable to evaluate the service quality. So, what do? We inform the customers about all the services which are delivered. Keep all the customers informed during service delivery and also debrief them at the end of the service and offer intangible evidence. This is my reference sheet. Hope you have watched the video carefully. Quiz link is in the video description. Do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you and I'll see you for the next session.